Welcome to the Mojo for Musicians podcast from Manny Cabo Media, where we dig deep into today's top strategies to help you take your music career to the next level, along with real, raw, and uplifting conversations with industry professionals that are making moves, making a difference, and making the best versions of themselves to inspire you to do the same. And if you have a voice with a powerful message to share with the world, then head on over to tinyurl/Mojo Official Discord for the best community of voices in the metaverse. Support for the Mojo for Musicians podcast comes from Stedman, tools for the studio and beyond, because your voice deserves to be heard. Sennheiser, inspired by music. And Cranium, scientifically designed products for bald, shaved, and buzzed heads. So get your head in the game and own your dome. And now, here's your host, Manny Cabo. All right, welcome back, Mojo Maniacs, to another epic episode of Mojo for Musicians. And today's Mojo Spotlight is on an incredible artist, right, who has certainly made the name for herself, especially most recently in the NFT space, the Web3, with her sold-out Moonshot collection, which is pretty badass. And man, she's got a fascinating backstory. You know, I just had a conversation behind the scenes with her. And I love stories. I'm all about stories. And she's been playing the piano since she was 5 years old. You know, she lived kind of like a nomad life, moving from London to Berlin. She's flirted with record deals and realized the limitations of that. And of course, so many things in the interim of all that. But I don't want to disclose too much. Well, right. Do you guys? No? Nobody? Of course not. They want to bring her on the stage. Come on, Violetta. What do you say?
Hello. Thank you so much, Manny, for having me. It's so good to be here.
Welcome.
Thanks for the
Welcome.
intro.
Well, you know what? I'm just speaking the truth. This is all facts. You know, it's such an honor to have you, and I will respect your time. I know that you've had a very, very busy week. Actually, a very busy past, few months. But talk to me. So what's new in your world? I know you're like me. Like, we have a lot of commonalities. I have the podcast, my music. I have my NFT community, if you will, crypto coin. So there's a lot going on. So I'm going to get into that later with respect to time. But what's going on with you right now?
Well, right now I've just came out of a very intense but fruitful and amazing week in New York City for the NFT NYC conference.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
You got to perform too, man. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, I had a performance every day scheduled, and including, I was nominated for Best Application of NFTs to the Music Industry at the official awards, and I got to perform there at the official OpenSea event, and had my own showcase, different parties. It was just amazing. It was really a great step for my career and for the music NFT space in general. So,
yeah, 100%. I saw, there was a plethora of postings on it. A lot of people got sick too. A lot of people caught the COVID.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know anything about my background. This year has been brutal. I lost my dad to COVID, right? Almost lost my wife. Hurricane Ida then pretty much washed away literally 25 years of my livelihood, all my music equipment, photography equipment, this and that. So it's been a rough year. So it was sad to see that. I saw the constant posting of everyone loving the event. And I didn't have the luxury of going, but I did have a few of my counterparts that went. So I'm happy that you at least got to showcase your talent, because that's always good. You always want to have a pretty cool, eclectic audience who appreciates you. Not only you as an artist or a Web3 person in the industry, but somebody who's got some killer talent to offer. I heard the song. So I don't know how I want to start this, because there's so many layers to you. So I think what I'd like to focus on is the time aspect, to what I alluded to before I pressed record on this. So, and as I said, we've got a lot of commonalities with respect to our backgrounds. How did you manage to control your time, or delegate, or compartmentalize, however you want to word it, with your music, with your NFTs, with everything in between, your acting? What works for you? Because, I think I've become a better teacher throughout the years because I've become an amazing student, and I love learning from everyone. And in reading about you, I'm like, be pretty cool question to ask her.
Well, my time management has become, a really difficult task in the last 6 months since I joined the Web3 community and NFTs. Before that, I just always love diversifying, because I think you need to, like you're doing yourself, as an artist in general, you have to diversify. because you learn, like you said, you learn how to live, and you learn more about yourself. So in the past, it was fairly easy to juggle these things because, as you know, as a musician, you have some really intense, busy times, and then you have some downtime. And I didn't take that downtime as downtime, but I would go and potentially act in a movie or, do something else of that sort. Whereas in the last 6 months, since January when I got into NFTs, I didn't do anything else.
Yeah.
Like, I've just been hustling like a crazy person. I've had 18-hour days for the last 6 months, and I live in Europe. I'm in the US right now, but I live in Europe normally. I live in Berlin. So everyone is based in the US, and so I've switched my time zone. I'm up until 7 in the morning when I'm in Berlin to keep up with you guys.
That's
so
insane.
it's
That's
crazy.
Insane. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Now, I know you're going to attest to this. You have to double and sometimes triple down on that stuff in order to leverage, the capacity of what it can do for you, especially as an artist. And I mean, in reading about it, you were very successful with your launch. And this is what I found to be really, really cool. This is actually one of my later questions, but I'm going to get to it because it's a great segue. Like, your dad did the artwork. So you give keeping it in the family a whole new perspective, which is pretty amazing. So evidently you must have a great relationship with your dad. You have an amazing father figure.
Well, he's an artist, so of course we clash because he tried to shape me like him, and it kind of worked out until a certain point, and then I just wanted to spread my wings and go and create my own personality, and he's like, no, what? Now he wanted to have a say on everything. So, but that was like early 20s and stuff when I just kind of, left the nest. But now that I'm a little bit older, we're both adults, and I was just like, hey, do you want to do this for me? Like, it gives you the chance as well to display your art to everyone in the world. And why would I go to somebody else when my dad is an artist and he knows exactly who I am as an artist? So it just went really smoothly, and I think it was the smoothest thing we've ever done, because normally we write songs together sometimes too, and it's the apocalypse. Like, it's really like
wow. But you know what? That's a harsh word, but I completely empathize with what you're saying, because I say this all the time. Sometimes it's really difficult. It's an arduous task to deal with family, to the point where I get a lot of backlash for this. And I tell people, you want peace in your life, get rid of the toxicity. And sometimes family is the worst to deal with, right? Am I wrong? Or am I?
No, absolutely right. I didn't work with my dad for years because we just couldn't find an agreement. But I feel like now I had my own thing going on, and he understood. And he just took part with it. And everyone loved the fact that he was, my dad, and they loved the art. But honestly, I think it was a lot easier than it would have been with a different artist. Because, you get that family aspect. I can tell him, no, I don't like this. And
it's a lot easier to criticize. But I got to tell you, though, you did it right 2,500 times. So you had a lot to celebrate, because that's pretty impressive. I'm part of the Giraffe Tower, and we sold out, 4 collections, one of 10,300. We just did a 333. So I know it felt good. But in order to say that, man, I did something artistic that not only represents who I am, but it represented the relationship that you have with another artist, right? And to sell out a collection, which, by the way, I know you have 5 of your originals included in NFTs. That's amazing. So explain to me that, like, what was the impetus behind adding aside from the fact that I know you're a musician, but if you would have told me 6 months ago, Manny, about the NFTs and Web3 and Discord and all this stuff, I'd be like, what are you smoking? And puff, puff, pass.
Same.
But here right? Right? But here I am 6 months talking to you, interviewing you, and I completely can relate to that success. Explain to me about that. Like, what was the impetus?
Well, I was at a bit of a turning point in my career, because I was a very live focused artist. So I was playing lots of shows, live concerts and everything. And of course the pandemic slowed everything down dramatically. And I had no major record label or anything. I was just kind of trying to find my way into the next step. And I felt really stuck in a sense. And I went home for Christmas in 2021, and my mom, so both my parents actually play a role in this thing. My mom, who's a very forward thinking, almost 60-year-old woman, she knew about NFTs before I did. And she convinced me to start making music
Wow. Look
NFTs.
at
She told
that.
me
Okay.
people are buying music NFTs as collectibles,
Yeah.
rare, scarce collectibles. And I was like, what? People are buying what? Music is free.
What does that
You know,
even mean?
yeah, just trust me, try it out. You're very good. Like you can make it work. And I was like, what do I got to lose?
Right.
Nothing. So I just went for it and strongly realized, like suddenly realized that's it was meant for me. I strongly believe in the idea. And my dad does not understand what NFTs are.
He has amazing artwork and still has no idea what an
He
NFT
doesn't
is.
know what he did. I just asked him, could you just draw this? And he's like, yeah, whatever. But he doesn't. I said I sold out. I was like, oh, good for you. He
Wow.
just doesn't. They're very different in that sense.
But you know what? I have to tell you, sometimes, even on a personal level, sometimes ignorance is bliss. Because once you start peeling the layers of how intricate everything becomes, it kind of imposes on the creativity, right? Because not only
Yeah.
do you have to create the artwork, right? Figure out what music to use, but you also have to do the legwork, the marketing. You have to be somewhat omnipresent. You have to,
Yeah.
you have to network, which is what you're doing. You're going into these NFT conventions. You're
Yeah.
constantly on Twitter. So there is a substantial amount of work that goes on behind
It's
the
definitely
scenes.
not for every artist.
No, it's not. I'm
Like
glad you
I
said that.
have to say I'm lucky that I have this passion also for talking and networking and selling, and create the community. My dad is not that kind of artist.
Yeah.
He's more like he stays at home and draws and that he's happy doing that. So I guess we compensate each other in that
Yeah.
sense. So
So what's your biggest hardship? I know this wasn't a question that was planned, but what's your biggest hardship right now? Granted, even after all the little accolades that you've acquired gradually, what did you find to be the most arduous obstacles in this whole campaign from the initial stages to the point of where you actually sold out?
yeah, well, I found it was always really fun. So it was never like torture, to go out and work those 18 hours a day. The struggles are, of course, that you need to be always present. Like you said, you can't
Right.
take a day off
Right.
when you're in a campaign like that. There's no Sundays, there's no evenings, there's no nights that you're always on call.
Right. Sleep,
And of
sleep. What is
course,
that? I've heard of this.
yeah,
What is sleep?
right.
Right.
So that's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
And, I was ready for it because I was so hungry for a change, but that was definitely hard. Of course, the market, the state of the crypto market and et cetera didn't help. We're in the bear market where
Sure.
everything is kind of crashing a little bit. That didn't help. And also, I found that not everyone in the NFT space knows how to treat music NFTs.
Right.
They are used to like buying these NFTs that are worthless at the beginning, and then all of a sudden they go to 100 ETH, and they flip them. And with music, it's more like they're attached to an artist that will grow in
Exactly.
time. So it's a more of a long-term investment.
It's a
So
relationship, it's up to
yeah,
you to build that demand. You want people
yeah,
to hold your NFTs. Like in my space, we're not about flipping. We're not about, killing the floor. We've been pretty consistent, and you have to offer a significant amount of great utility. You and I
yeah.
both know that, and that's what I'm trying. I've got my own crypto coin, and I just embarked on that. So there's definitely challenges, but the rewards can be exponential and
Oh, yeah.
amazing. It really can be.
I've never been happier in my life.
Good for
I've
you.
never worked so hard, but I've never been happier in my life. So this showcase that I played in New York last week at this lovely venue in Lower East Side,
Yeah.
um, it was a bunch of Web3 artists, and I was kind of closing the lineup. And about 40 or 50 of my NFT holders showed up with their NFTs in their
That's
wallet,
awesome.
and they don't pay for the ticket, right? They
Yeah,
showed up
of
with their
course.
NFT and they come in for free. And I started playing the first song, just me on the guitar. Go through the verse, I get to the chorus, and the whole room starts singing along,
Oh, see,
word
that's
for
great. There's
word.
no better feeling than that.
And that never happened to me before, ever in my life. And I started crying and laughing hysterically on stage. I couldn't sing, I was choked
You're
up.
all choked
So
up.
I just let them take over, and they sang through the whole song, and I just played the guitar, and it was
Yeah.
like,
Well, that's when you got to live in the moment. Like that's basically them telling you that your hard work paid off. So you gotta
That was
relish the moment.
That was the epiphany. Like, okay, that's why I did it. Even more like this is the utility, both
Sure.
for them and for me
Sure.
as an artist. So
Good for
yeah.
you. Good for you. I'm really proud of your efforts. And you know what? Rightfully so, because it does take a lot of work, a lot of commitment, a lot of early mornings and late nights. And it's not for the weak-hearted. And not to mention, as a musician, I don't have to tell you, you really have to have some thick skin. I've been doing this for close to 20 years, been on some amazing TV shows, been able to perform globally. But that doesn't mean anything because you and I both know you're only as good as your last performance. That consistency level has to be on point every single time. And when you make these little lateral moves into a space that you really don't have a firm understanding, you really have to believe in your efforts, because what's the point in doing something if you don't believe that you're going to succeed in it? So good for you. But let's talk about the acting. That was pretty cool. I've done some short films and I'm like, oh, this is cool, because if you know why I'm so intrigued is because I like understanding what other artists do when they encounter situations where it's like, oh man, I don't know if I could focus on this more. I don't know if I should do this a little bit more, because we all know we can't do 25% here, 25% there. We really got to harness the power and focus on one thing. But it's hard as a creator, especially when you're really trying to get your message out there. So talk to me how you delved into the acting space. That's pretty cool. I know you were in a film called Rose Island, I think it was. The only barrier is if you don't speak Italian, you don't get it. But there's subtitles, I understand Italian. So and it looks like a movie that I would dig because I love comedies, and I love stuff like that. So how did you manage to land a role? One, and what was your transition into that space? Because that's a totally different space. Or is it? I don't know. Maybe for you, it's like
it is, but the way I transitioned into it, I managed to. The first role that I landed was in a musical, right? So it was a remake of the Mozart Magic Flute.
Okay.
That I did in 2016. I was 21, and they were just looking basically for a singer. It was very music oriented, music based, and they were looking for a singer to play the lead role and someone who could more or less kind of act. The main thing was the music. So I auditioned for that, got the part, shot that movie. Great. We won an award for the best music in the main Italian awards as well. And after that, I got an agent because I was like, you never know, why not? Let's see what we can do. And after a couple of years, after so many auditions, so many self-tapes, so many.
How many would you say? Just curious. I'm just curious. How many would you say?
I don't know, 100.
Wow.
So many. The self-tapes, like me in front of a wall talking to nobody. It's just really not fun. But yeah, after a couple of years, I got a call. They were like, the director wants to see you for this Netflix thing. And I was like, sure, that sounds great. I'm never going to get it, but whatever. I showed up in Rome to the audition, messed it up because I thought it was a drama, like a dramatic scene, because my scene was dramatic. And I got there and I'm all sad and everything. And they're like, no, think of it as Seinfeld. This is a comedy. Okay. Snap, So I got it in the end. I got it. And I think I got it because I was very similar. They saw that character in me, that's how they cast people mostly nowadays. You have so much supply of actors that you can literally afford to choose the person that you don't need to work on instead of working. So I got that part, shot the movie, was incredible. It came out in 190 countries.
Yeah, I saw that. That's incredible. It really is.
But I did want to mention, I have a movie coming out actually on July 7th that I'm in, and I wrote 2 songs for it. The only original songs for that movie are my songs, and I'm not lead role, but it's coming out in the theaters in Italy on July 7th. Yeah, it's called.
Well, I was going to get to that toward the end. I wanted you to promote anything that you have coming up, but I'm glad you mentioned that because that's huge. So it's coming out. Is it on Netflix? It is just independent film. What is it?
No, it's from a big production company, but it's national.
Awesome.
It comes on.
And what's your role? Just curious.
I'm an opera singer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a talent. I remember growing up, that actually screwing around with opera, Miss High and stuff like that, that actually developed my voice. And it's funny,
Right.
Deborah Bird on The Voice, and she coached Daughtry, she coached Kelly Clarkson. She's like, stuff like that, you don't realize, but you understand the workings of the voice, and it opens up your cavities and it relaxes your muscle. And then I started playing around with that, and those techniques that she put on my plate helped me with my audition of Here I Go
Mm.
Again, that late note. So it's pretty cool. I'm glad. I really am. I'm happy for you. You're putting in the hours, you're grinding it out. And it's no surprise that you're getting presented with so many opportunities because there's no coincidence. I don't believe in luck. I never did. Luck is preparation meets opportunity.
Me neither.
Never did. So
Yeah.
obviously I can see that. And I don't know if you know, but I'm also an editorial photographer. I've shot for record labels
Didn't
for
know that.
years. So,
Cool.
and I do that for artists. I go to Nashville twice, 3 times a year, and photograph album covers, releases. So I was looking at your artwork, and I have to tell you, I have to commend you, because I actually put one here, Never Needed Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Like that style of album cover that dates back to like the early 60s. I grew up on Spanish folk music, Motown, the bright colors, the faded. I love that style of photography. So I was like, oh, I gotta. Whose idea was that? Like, what photographers were you using? European
I used
photographers?
a German photographer.
Yeah, I figured.
She's really, really popular right now because her actual photography style, she uses Photoshop heavily. Like it's over edited,
Mm,
almost like doll kind of vibes.
yeah,
She took it down a notch with me because obviously it was more like made to fit me.
yeah,
But I like the bright colors. I like the kind of the really perfection of
yeah.
like, everything very polished. So that's what we went for.
It's awesome. This is the last question of the show. What's your mojo? Like, yeah, it's the name of the show. Like, what keeps you going? Like, this is hard work. I tell everybody the same thing. It's being an artist is not for everybody. Quite frankly, I try when I speak at schools and talk to kids, I try to dissuade them from going into this industry. If you still want to become an artist after I'm done telling you the realities behind it and the struggles,
You're crazy.
then you're insane, right? But I'm going for it because that's the type of power that you have to have behind your inclination to delve into this space. You really do. Thick skin, perseverance, a creative mind, adaptable mind, pivotal minds. You have to make those audibles like we mentioned before. What's your mojo?
I just I just have a it's just my calling. I've had a dream for as long as I can remember. As long
Mm,
as I could watch movies or listen to music, I never saw myself doing anything else really.
mm,
So I just get those, the music has high highs and low lows, but those highs are, it makes up for 100 years of lows.
makes
It's
perfect
so
sense.
it feeds me, for years. So that kind of human connection, music just brings joy to everybody.
Yeah.
It's just something that we will never be able, it can change the world. So I follow that. If I can change the world even just a little bit, that's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
So that's my mojo, I suppose.
Perfectly said. I say that all the time. I want to inspire 1 billion people. Everyone's like, 1 billion people? That's a lot of people. If you think about it, not really.
Yeah.
Look, right? Look how easy it is, though. Look how easy it is. You said that you went to this show and you had a full crowd singing your song,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You didn't know these people. You
No.
never know, especially now with Web3. We're having conversations. People that are on Clubhouse, I'm like, that's Web3. You do realize that, right? With Discord, that's Web3. You do realize that you're having conversations with people in Alaska, Australia, Europe, from all parts of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the fact that I managed to sing in a room full of people that knew every word to my song, and I'm like from
Exactly.
small town northern Italy, and it happened in 6 months. I'm like, great, that's my mojo, I suppose.
There you go. That, if anything, if it wasn't your mojo, that gave you more mojo to continue
Yeah,
this
yeah,
path. Dude,
exactly.
that's awesome. So listen, we've come to the closing moments, but again, this is your chance. I want you to promote things. I want to allow people to know you a little bit more. Where do they go if they want to know a little bit more about Violetta?
Yeah. Well, of course, you can check out my Moonshot collection, music NFT project. on OpenSea. It's available on a secondary market. It's 5 songs that I recorded here in Nashville with a Grammy-winning producer and with my dad's art. I'd love if you guys could check it out. I've got more coming up, of course, but I want to take my time to do it properly. And I have this movie coming out on July 7th that you might not be able to watch in theaters in America, but I might post some snippets. Follow me on social media. And yeah, check me out on Spotify. I have some songs over there too if you don't buy NFTs, and YouTube and all that. I'm planning to move to America as well.
Where to? Just curious.
So, yeah, Nashville.
Of course. Yeah, I lived there for 2 years. Oh, I love that town. Let me tell you, for me, that's home away from home. And you're very inclined to writing songs. It's a songwriting capital of the world. I mean, I'm putting out a song every 6 weeks from stuff that I've had for years. And it's just something that's personal for me. It's a big accomplishment. It really is. And like you already know, it's a lot of work. It's not just putting out a song. Yay, let's hope for the best. It's micro content. It's every day. You're doing behind the scenes stuff, doing lives, doing YouTube videos, reels, the whole 9 yards. But it's what we do. You just said it. This is what we do.
Yeah.
On a daily basis.
So hopefully I'll be playing shows around the country as well as soon as I can get my visa sorted out.
I hope so. Yeah. Well, that's important. You got to have your visa.
Yeah.
Did you get COVID while you were at the convention? Just have to know.
I did not.
Good for you.
I did not. I'm good.
Good for you. Well, I'm happy for that. Anything else you want to add before we go? This has been amazing. And once again, I need to commend you on all of your efforts. I wish you much continued abundance, success, fans, hopefully you keep selling your NFTs. It's an amazing accomplishment. It really is. And there's so much more. And this is just the beginning. We're in the initial stages of this development. Yeah. People are still sleeping on it. I know they are for me. That's why I'm really, really excited. I've got to get you some Mojo coin. You've definitely earned it, especially with this. So I'm going to give you some coin. All you need is a phantom wallet. Got to get you in my Discord, and then I'll get into yours. I've got a lot of utility that I'm affording. That's the thing. There's so many layers and components to make this stuff work. I'm just happy that you managed the time, and I'm really grateful. I know my listeners will be grateful. So thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Manny, for having me. This was a blast.
Absolutely. And we'll talk real soon, okay? We got to do this again when you sell your next collection. How about that?
Let's go. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Great talking to you.
Thank you.
This has been a Mojo for Musicians podcast. If you're a musician, industry professional, or a voice with a powerful message and wanting to share your mojo and stories of success with our listeners, or simply share some feedback on today's episode, we'd love to hear from you. So send us an email at info@mannycabo.com. And don't forget to join the Mojoverse on Discord for the most powerful community of voices in the metaverse at tinyurl/Mojo Official Discord. Thanks for listening.